Do you know what it means to have your life decided by other people? In the old empire, there were poor boys taken from home while still very young, and many did not even know they were being delivered to a fate that would become a true disgrace. Parents agreed to sell them believing they would have a better future, working near the king with food, new clothes, and protection. But what those parents did not know is that to serve in the palace, those boys had to be turned into eunuchs, and that meant losing something no man should lose. Their testicles were cut off so they could never have children or be involved with women. The cut was done without choice, without mercy, and without return. Some boys died right there. Those who survived carried the pain forever. After that, they were taken to the imperial palace, a vast place full of luxury with shining floors, silk curtains, and the scent of rare flowers. But that brightness hid a cruel truth. These men worked inside the harem, a reserved space where the emperor's wives and lovers lived. The harem was a forbidden world, full of secrets and rules. The concubines, women chosen to please the king, lived surrounded by beauty and constant watch, and the eunuchs were the guardians of that world. Men who could see everything but never belonged to anything. They were close to power, yet treated as if they were no one. Even so, many believed it was an honor to serve so close to the emperor. They thought they were among the chosen. But time revealed the truth. It was not glory, it was a disgrace. Because living without freedom, without desire, without a future is not living. The palace's luxury did not erase the pain of those forced to stop being men and become only tools of power. Understanding this story matters because it shows what happens when power decides someone's destiny. Leave a like to support the channel, subscribe so you do not miss the next stories, and comment what you would do in their place. The cutting happened early, when the boy did not yet understand what he was about to lose. He was taken by strange men to a small room that smelled of herbs and iron. There, his body stopped being his own. They used a thin knife, sometimes heated in the fire, and removed the testicles. They did this so he would never feel desire for any woman in the palace. It was the empire's cruel way to keep the harem safe. Some boys screamed until they fainted, others had no strength even for that. And the silence that followed was not peace, it was the body trying to understand what was left. Those who survived were left lying on the hot sand for days to stop the bleeding. They had fevers, hallucinations, and the fear of never standing again. Those who died were thrown away as if they were nothing, but those who lived were called blessed. Blessed for being able to serve the king even after losing everything. That is how the empire turned pain into obedience. When they finally recovered, they were dressed in new clothes and taken to the palace. From afar, they looked important, but inside, they carried the mark of those who had been mutilated. Their walk changed, their voice became higher, and many avoided looking at their own reflection. Shame and fear became part of daily life. In the palace, no one asked their names. They were simply the eunuchs, and the more obedient they were, the greater their chances of staying alive. The empire did not want men, it wanted shadows. Now tell me, what do you think was worse? Losing the body or losing the right to choose your own destiny? Write the word destiny in the comments so I know you are following the story up to this point. When the boy finally arrived at the palace, everything seemed like a dream. The huge gates, the guards in golden armor, the marble floors reflecting the sunlight. Inside, the smell of flowers and the sound of instruments made it feel like the most beautiful place in the world. But soon he discovered that beauty was only a disguise. The palace was also the most dangerous place on earth, where one mistake could cost a life. The imperial harem was the heart of this empire, a closed space full of mystery where the emperor's wives and concubines lived, women chosen for their beauty and their ability to please the king. The eunuch was the only man allowed there, precisely because he could not touch any of them. He spent his days carrying trays, delivering messages, opening doors, and obeying orders. He could never question. Despite the luxury around him, he lived in fear. Fear of being accused, of looking too long, of saying what he should not, of angering someone powerful. The concubines competed for attention and used the eunuchs as pieces in their games. One wrong compliment, one gesture taken the wrong way, and punishment came quickly. It was a life of calculated steps, held breath, and eyes always lowered. The entire palace seemed made of gold, but the gold also served to hide pain. No, one there was truly free. Each concubine lived under watch, and each eunuch lived watching. It was a world where everyone smiled, but no one trusted anyone. The cruelest part was that the eunuch knew, no matter how obedient he would never be seen as a true man. He was only a tool of the empire, a body trained to serve. Write the word harem in the comments if this part made you picture a place so beautiful and so cruel at the same time. With time, the eunuch began to understand that the harem was not only a place of beautiful women and secrets, it was also the center of power. Inside, what was said in a low voice could change the destiny of the entire empire. The concubines were more than wives. They were living pieces in a political game. Some used charm to gain favors. Others spied to influence the emperor's decisions. And in the middle of this maze of intrigue, the eunuch was the eyes and ears of everyone. He heard what he should not, saw what no one was allowed to see, and learned to keep it all inside. One wrong word could be his death sentence. so silence became his shield. Eunuchs carried secret messages, slipped notes between fabrics, and made alliances with those who promised to protect them. Some became advisors to the emperor, others manipulated information and gathered power, but none of them slept in peace. In the palace, trust was a dangerous luxury. Sometimes the eunuch saw the emperor pass by, surrounded by guards and wealth, and inside, he wondered if that man also felt fear, because in the end, even the most powerful of kings depended on the silence of those who knew his secrets. It was a relationship built on distrust. One needed the other, but neither fully believed. Meanwhile, the corridor stayed full of false laughter, heavy perfumes, and broken promises. The eunuch learned to smile when required and to bow without showing what he felt. That was how one survived in the empire, pretending. And behind every smile, there was a story no one would dare to tell. As the years passed, the eunuch's body began to change. His face became smoother, with almost no masculine features. His voice turned thin, and his shoulders, once firm, seemed to shrink. Without hormones, the body stopped growing, strength faded, and the skin took on a pale, fragile look. Some eunuchs even looked like women, and that confused them even more. They were treated as men for work, but seen as something different, neither one nor the other. That uncertainty followed them in every look and every gesture. The mind changed too. Many no longer knew who they were. They could not have children, could not love, and even desire faded with time. The empire said they were pure, but that purity came from suffering. What the palace called discipline was, in truth, the slow death of what lived inside them. Some eunuchs held on to faith, others to daily tasks. But loneliness was a constant shadow, and silence, the one imposed by fear, it became a weight too, heavy to carry. Even so, the work never stopped. The eunuch could be called at any hour, always standing, always ready. He served banquets, delivered messages, cleaned rooms, and cared for the clothes of the emperor and the concubines. Every movement was watched. Every word was measured. He no longer lived for himself. He lived for the empire. And that restless routine made time disappear. Days turned into months, months into years, and the eunuch grew old without noticing. The body tired, but obedience remained. Because in the imperial harem, even suffering had to follow protocol. With time, the eunuch realized that the true punishment was not what had been taken from him, but what he had been forced to become. The body obeyed, but the heart lived in silence. He spent his days surrounded by luxury, yet he was invisible. He saw the concubines smiling, dressed in light fabrics, covered in jewels and perfume. The harem was a world made to please the emperor, and he was there only to ensure everything worked, never to belong to it. Sometimes the eunuch caught himself imagining what a normal life would be, feeling someone's touch, starting a family, being called by his own name and not only by his function. But those thoughts had to die quickly. Inside the palace, even dreaming could be dangerous. The empire taught that desire was weakness and duty came before all. So he learned to hide what he felt and to live in silence, like a shadow among curtains and golden walls. Over the years, coldness became protection. Many eunuchs got used to living without feeling. They walked with firm posture, a neutral gaze, and a calm voice. They were respected, but not for who they were, only for the fear they inspired. In the palace, no one knew what was happening inside them, and that was exactly what made them dangerous. The empire could control the body, but it could not fully master the mind, and the more the eunuch saw and heard, the more he understood that power also had a price, and that sometimes even the king seemed as much a prisoner as he was. Years passed, and the eunuch no longer remembered the sound of his own childhood. The palace looked the same, but everything in it had changed. The concubines he had served were growing older. The emperor no longer had the same vigor, and new faces replaced the old. He remained there, still, watching time go by like a play repeated again and again. A tired body, a weak voice, slow steps, yet still obeying, still serving. It was as if he had forgotten there was a world outside those walls. With time, the younger ones began to treat him with respect and also with fear. They called him ancient, as if he were part of the palace, a piece of furniture or a statue that had always been there. He knew secrets no one else knew. He had seen forbidden loves, hidden betrayals, deaths disguised as accidents, but he kept it all inside. Those who talked too much disappeared, and he wanted, at least, to die of old age. Sometimes, at night, the eunuch looked up at the sky in the inner courtyard. He saw the stars trapped behind golden grates and wondered if there was still a place where he could be free. The harem slept, the empire moved on, and he remained invisible. Everything he had been, everything he had lost, stayed there with him. Even so, he continued, because inside the empire, to live was to obey, and whoever stopped serving ceased to exist. If you made it this far, you enjoy stories that reveal the hidden side of power and the price paid by those who live to serve. So subscribe to the channel now. It helps a lot to keep bringing strong stories like this. Leave a like to show you are part of this journey, and write the word freedom in the comments so I know you stayed until the end. And do not leave yet. The next video on the screen will take you to another cursed profession, where power also charges a price that is far too high.